The stars were quiet. The ship Artemis Dawn floated smoothly through. Sector 9N, unclaimed region, between Earth and the Asari Dominion. It was a peaceful route, a known path. Nothing had ever gone wrong there. Captain Rhea Morgan sipped her tea and watched her crew laugh below the command deck. They were explorers, scientists, and settlers. Families, even children, were on board. No weapons, no soldiers. Just one big colony ship headed toward their new home. After years of war, the galaxy had finally calmed down. The Unity Pact, signed only 6 months ago, promised peace between all major powers, including Earth and the Asari. Everyone was tired of fighting, but peace has a weakness. It makes you lower your shield. It started with static, a quiet whisper through the comms. Then the scanners flickered. The pilot looked confused, tapping his screen. "Captain, I think we're being scanned." Rhea frowned. "By who?" "There's nothing out here." The answer came as a shadow. A massive ship uncloaked right. In front of them, dark, jagged, and silent. No markings. No ID. Then another. And another. For your sorry stealth cruisers now surrounded the Artemis Dawn. Their weapons were already charged. Rhea stood, her heart hammering. Open a channel.
Let's
talk. But it was too late. The first beam hit the engine bay. The second cut through the medical wing. People screamed. Rhea's voice broke as she shouted, "We're civilians! We're under the Pact!" But the enemy didn't care. Within minutes, fire spread across the ship. Bulkheads collapsed. Lights went dark. Oxygen levels dropped. The Artemis Dawn was dying. Some escape pods launched. Most were destroyed instantly. But one, just one, shot out sideways and vanished into the dark. Earth didn't believe it at first. When the Asari ambassador stood before the Earth Council, he looked calm, cold. His 4 eyes blinked slowly. "We did not attack your ship," he said. "Perhaps it was pirates or a reactor issue." The room went silent. Then the survivor pod was brought in. It was damaged, but intact. Inside was a bloodied pilot named Elias Rowe. Half his body was burned. He could barely speak. But he handed over the black box ripped from the wreckage of the Artemis Dawn. Earth's techs plugged it in. Everyone watched. Everyone heard. And everyone saw the ambush frame by frame. The footage was clear. Yazari ships. Yazari signatures. No pirates. No reactor issue. Only betrayal. The council panicked. Some said it was a rogue, Yazari faction. Others whispered that the Yazari Dominion had never wanted peace. They only signed the pact to lower Earth's guard. General Mara Vetch said nothing at first. She stood in the corner of the war room, quiet, arms crossed. Her uniform was dark. Her medals were many. She was a legend in Earth's war history, retired after the pact until now. When the council argued again about talks and proof and patience, she finally spoke. "They killed families," she said flatly. "They broke the pact in blood. We need evidence," one ambassador said. "You just saw it. It could be fake." Vetch turned, staring him down. "Would you say that if your child was on that ship?" No one spoke after that. That night she disappeared. 3 days later, 12 ships went missing from Earth's military hangars. No one saw them leave. No, its alarm sounded. But the guards at every station had been rotated. The codes had been changed. By someone deep within command. General Vetch had taken a fleet, not a legal one. Not one flying under Earth's flag. This fleet had no ID, no registration. It was a ghost fleet. It was headed toward Yazari space. Vetch called it the Wolves. Out in space, the Yazari Dominion celebrated. Their nobles laughed behind tall palace walls. Earth, they believed, was too soft, too diplomatic, too bound by laws. The pact had made humans weak. They didn't know who Vetch was. They didn't know what was coming. The first strike was quiet, eh? A sorry listening post at the edge of Sector 9 suddenly went dark. No explosion. No signal. Just gone. By the time a patrol arrived, they found only spinning wreckage and a human message scorched into a whole plate. We remember. The second strike came louder. A Yasari cruiser was pulled out of hyperspace and boarded mid-jump. Its crew was captured, but not killed. Vetch let them live. She made them watch as her AI overrode their systems and took their ship apart bolt by bolt before leaving them floating helpless, with a warning beacon flashing. One for Artemis Dawn. Back on Earth, the Council was furious. Vetch has gone rogue. One leader shouted, "She's risking galactic war." Another cried, but public opinion told a different story. Billions watched the recovered footage of the ambush. Billions saw the faces of the dead settlers. Billions remembered the pact signed in peace and shattered in ambush, and many whispered the same thing. Let her finish it. The Asari tried to respond. They sent 2 fleets to hunt her down. Neither came back. Their signals just stopped. In one intercepted message, a Yasari captain was heard screaming before a flash of static. A human AI voice calmly repeated, "We are the wolves. You broke the pact. We are here to remind you what Earth becomes. When promises are betrayed, now the galaxy is watching." Some powers call Vetch to terrorists, others call her a hero, but all of them agree. Something has changed. Humanity is no longer patient, no longer silent, and no longer bound by words written in ink, because the pact was broken in blood, and General Mara Vetch has only just begun. Space near the SRE relay station, 2:17 a.m. Terran Standard Time, the stars blinked. Then, ... They blinked again, but this time, something came through. 6 black ships phased out of the void's leak, silent, human-built, and weapon-heavy. Their hulls bore no flags, no symbols, no names. But to those who watched from the dark, these weren't warships. They were predators, inside the lead vessel. General Mara Vetch stood with her hands behind her back, eyes fixed on the glowing tactical screen. "Any signs they spotted us?" she asked. Her AI Thorn responded in a smooth voice. "Negative. Their sensors still run on subfrequency gamma. Weak, predictable." Vetch gave a small nod, then begin. "No sirens, no warnings, just action." The wolves attacked without mercy. One moment, the Asari relay station floated peacefully, sending messages across Dominion space. The next, it was hacked, silenced, and gutted from the inside. Vetch's infiltration team moved like shadows through the corridors. They didn't kill anyone, they just shut everything down. When the last Usari engineer tried to call for help, found his voice hijacked. A broadcast replaced his signal. One sentence, repeating on all channels, "We are not at war. You started this. We are ending it." Back on Earth, panic spread through the Council. The chairman paced in front of the live feed, sweat dripping down his temple. Where did she get that kind of tech? That's tribunal-level AI warfare. "She built it during the Kethron conflict," another counselor muttered. No one stopped her back then either. They watched as the relay station spun dead in space, lights off, engines cold. And then, the entire screen turned black. A new message appeared. Vetch's voice, calm, low, controlled. "To the Yazari Dominion, stop lying. You know what you did? This is not a war. This is justice. Stay out of our way." Across human space, something strange happened. People cheered on Luna. Miners tapped metal against their helmets. In Mars domes, workers raised glasses. On the old refugee station over Europa, 1,000 people stood in silence. Watching the stars, they weren't angry that Vetch broke the rules. They were angry it took someone this long to respond. Yasari. Command held an emergency meeting on their capital moon. Admiral Threx slammed his fist on the table. "She's a war criminal." "Then treat her like one," growled Vizari Alon, a noble general. "Why are we hiding? She's not acting under Earth's orders." "Then Earth is weak. They let her off the leash." "What?" But how is she tracking our fleets? Silence because no one knew. Not yet. Vetch did not care about politics. Her fleet, the Wolves, operated like no other. She didn't wait for orders. She didn't ask for permission. She didn't broadcast her moves. Her ships ran on hybrid drives, part human, part stolen tech from a dozen forgotten wars. Her weapons were custom-built, illegal under galactic law. Her soldiers, veterans, ghosts, exiled engineers, AI pilots, too dangerous to be legal. They were feared, but they followed her. Not because of pay, not for glory, but because Vetch remembered the names of every lost soul on Artemis Dawn. She read them every night, one by one, and she swore they would never be forgotten. Her next target was Boulder, a Yasari weapons lab orbiting the gas giant Thurnus. Officially, it was a research station. Unofficially, it developed the stealth missiles used. In the Artemis Dawn ambush, Vetch knew. She had proof leaked by a Yasari scientist who defected too. Earth in silence. She didn't announce her next move. She just appeared. The lab never saw it coming first. The station lost gravity, then power, and control of its own defense grid. All. Cameras flickered, replaced by a single image, the Earth's flag, dripping in red. Then came the countdown. 10, 9, 8. The Asari scrambled to escape. Some made it, most didn't. The station was not destroyed by weapons, but by its own failed experiments, triggered remotely. When the explosion echoed across the sector, 3 moons shifted slightly from the force. Vetch left behind a buoy, floating among the debris. Written on it in human text, "You broke the pact. We break your lies." At the Galactic Tribunal headquarters, diplomats shouted, blamed, argued. She's committing war crimes. Earth must control its own people. Was the pact a trap? Or are we dealing with madness? The Earth ambassador said only this: she does not act for Earth, but no one believed that, because Vetch's fleet kept moving with purpose, and Earth's silence sounded like agreement. Why? Sorry ships tried to catch her near the Galro belt. They outnumbered her, outgunned her, outflanked her, and still, she won. Her fleet split into decoys. Her A is faked warp signatures. She led the real force through a black hole edge, where normal ships wouldn't dare fly. Her ships danced like phantoms. Her torpedoes didn't explode, they rewrote code inside enemy ships. Crews screamed as lights flickered and weapons turned on themselves. In 20 minutes, nothing was left. And Vetch left another message. You wanted fear? Now you've earned it. One by one, systems fell silent. Yasari forces started retreating, not to regroup, but to hide. But the Wolves didn't stop. Vetch knew the map. She had spent 20 years studying Yasari weak points during the Cold Era. She remembered the planets they secretly militarized, the pirate gangs they funded, the smugglers they armed. She turned every one of them into targets, and always she left a message. Short, cold, final. We remember on Earth. Pressure. Built. The Council debated sending ships to bring her back, arrest her, shut her down. But every attempt failed. Her fleet's stealth was better than any system. Earth had, and worse, many human commanders refused to act. Some said nothing. Others quietly sent resources into space. Some even disappeared. No one knew who was loyal anymore, because Vetch wasn't leading a rebellion. She was starting a movement, one whispered by every colonist, by every ex-soldier, every survivor, every human tired of treaties built on lies. A Yasari noble flagship enters a system it thought was safeguarded, isolated, off-record. But just before they can land, every planet in the system sends the same transmission. She is already here. The noble turns to run. But behind him, in the void of space, 12 human ships to cloak. The Wolves don't wait for permission. Galactic Tribunal Peace Fleet, Arrival Zone, Sector 12. The Tribunal sent 12 cruisers, 4 peace ships, 2 carriers, 6 heavily armed patrol vessels. Their flags shimmered with silver light, symbols of unity, balance, law. Their lead ship, Valiant Star. carried the tribunal's special envoy, High Arbiter Kesmalar. He was known across the galaxy for ending wars with words alone. The tribunal had one mission: stop General Mara Vetch, bring her in. Peacefully if possible. Forcefully if not. But as the fleet dropped out of FTL, they realized something was wrong. Very wrong. There were no stars, at least. Not where they should be. Every navigational reading blinked red. Space was darker then. Normal to dark. Scanners picked up zero movement. No stations. No life. Kesmalar stood from his chair, eyes narrowing. Where is the Asari outpost? This was their defense point. The crew officer replied shakily, It was here. The whole system was marked as a fortified zone. The ship's AI spoke next. Correction. No. Asari signal detected. Only human presence. Suddenly, a new transmission cut in audio only. Vetch's voice. Cold. Measured. You're late. They're already gone. The tribunal fleet panicked. Dozens of officers raced to consoles. Reports came in fast. The Asari outpost was missing. Local defense satellites had been hacked. A deep space relay buoy now looped a single message. They broke the pact. This is the consequence. Kes clenched his jaw. Open a direct channel to Vetch. Static. Trace the signal. The AI replied. Source unknown. Multiple redirections. Likely decoy. Then the stars lit up 12 human ships. Decloaked, not ordinary human ships. These were the wolves, black-hulled. Silent, their lights were red. Their shapes, mismatched and dangerous siege ship, looked different. Like they had been rebuilt again and again for only one purpose. War without warning. The lead ship approached. Its weapons were online, but it didn't fire. Instead, another. Message came. Tribunal ships. You are not our enemy. Do not become one. Leave. Kes refused. This is a violation of galactic peace. Earth will answer for this. A new message came. Earth isn't in charge anymore. Kes ordered the first move. He thought his cruisers were better, newer, faster. He was wrong. The wolves didn't move like a normal fleet. They scattered like a pack. Some forward, some flanking. Some behind the tribunal line before the second order was even given. Jammers cut communication. AI viruses attacked their targeting systems. One tribunal cruiser lost control of its engines and crashed into a second ship. Within 90 seconds, 2 ships were disabled, 3 spinning without power. Vetch hadn't fired a single shot yet. Then she spoke again. This is your only warning. Stand down or vanish. Kes hesitated. He could still call for reinforcements. He could still escalate. But he wasn't a fool. He stared at the wreckage of 5 ships. His ships. Disabled, without a single human. Casualty. And something became very clear. General Vetch was not trying to win a war. She was trying to make a point. Back on Earth, the Council watched in stunned silence. Vetch's feed had been sent directly to them. Live. She was showing them her power. The chairman looked pale. She disabled a tribunal fleet without bloodshed. Counselor whispered, "We can't stop her." Another asked, "Do we support her?" A third answered, "It doesn't matter anymore. The galaxy already thinks we do." Wedged wolves left the tribunal fleet floating in silence. She didn't destroy them. She didn't kill anyone, but she sent one final package before vanishing. Again, a full data file. Proof of Asari betrayal. Satellite logs, weapon deployment maps, secret codes stolen from Dominion encryption systems. Everything Gaz Malor read. The file in horror. The attack on Artemis Dawn had been ordered. Not by rogue captains, but by the Asari. High Seat itself. The Pact had never meant peace. It had been a distraction. A trap. The tribunal fell into chaos. Some powers demanded punishment of the Asari. Others said humanity had gone too far, violating galactic law, striking without trials, ignoring rules. But no one could deny the truth now. The Asari Dominion broke the pact in blood. General Vetch was simply returning the favor. Meanwhile, the Asari homeworld trembled. Their capital was surrounded by defense fleets. Their nobles hid behind shielded palaces, but fear grew with every report of Vechti's next strikes. No one knew where she would go. No one could stop her, and worse, some of their own soldiers started whispering her name with respect. In hidden parts of the galaxy, something new began. Refugee worlds sent signals to Earth asking for help. Ex-military captains offered their ships to Vecht's wolves. And other alien races, once silent, began to wonder if humanity was right. Vecht had cracked something open. Not just fear, but doubt. Doubt in the old laws. Doubt in the tribunal. And doubt in the idea that peace could exist while monsters like the Asari held power. A tribunal judge stares at the decrypted footage of the Artemis Dawn. He watches children run through a hallway, seconds before fire cuts them down. He looks out the window of the tribunal station, into the stars, and he says, maybe she's not the criminal. Yasari Prime, the capital world of the Dominion, the towers of Sarithka, capital city of the Yasari Dominion, shimmered in the bright blue sun. Their spires pierced the clouds like silver spears. Beneath them, nobles dined on crystal balconies. While crowds gathered in wide glass plazas, news feeds told the same. Message across every street screen: Earth refuses responsibility. Tribunal fleet disabled. Vecht is a rogue. The nobles laughed at the humans. Primitive beasts won, said, sipping violet wine. She is one general. A criminal. A ghost, another sneered. She cannot touch Prime, let her play in the dust. But behind those polished words was fear, because Vecht had vanished again, and the last 12 attacks had been in systems. Closer and closer. To home, deep inside the palace defense tower, General Talvek of the Asari Guard slammed a clawed hand on the table. She is not a ghost. She's methodical, precise. She left our patrol fleet in orbit around Varnix crippled. In under 5 minutes, the Supreme Noble leaned back, bored. And what would you have us do? Beg for peace. Telvek bared his teeth. No, I want permission to deploy the Home Guard, all of it. The room went silent. Deploying the Home Guard meant only one thing: fear of invasion. That had never happened on Yasari Prime. Not once. The nobles hesitated. Too late that night, the sky changed. A ripple passed through the upper atmosphere, then another, and then something entered orbit without using a gate. Dominion's orbital sensors screamed. Unidentified signature non-standard jump pattern. It bypassed every outer defense layer. System lockdown initiated. Too slow. A single object appeared in low orbit. It wasn't a ship. It was a probuman, made of roasted, covered in black markings. It blinked, then exploded. Not with fire, but with signal. Every screen on the planet, military, civilian, private, went dark, then flashed red, then played the same image. The faces of the dead from Artemis Dawn, one by one. Children, doctors, engineers, families, screams echoed through the halls of the Grand Assembly in the military towers. Azari officers reached for weapons in the streets. The people paused, and then came the message: we're not here to destroy your cities. We're here to destroy your lies. You broke the pact in blood. Now we return the favor. It was Vetch's voice. Calm, controlled, unstoppable. Within minutes, the first strike hit, but not from orbit. From inside the palace walls, a noble's transport exploded mid-lift. A server droid in the communications center overloaded and released an EMP pulse that knocked out orbital sensors. A tunnel under the noble district erupted in flame. Yazari intelligence realized something terrifying. Vecht had infiltrated the capital. Weeks ago, they had no idea how many operatives were here, or where they'd strike next. And in that confusion, her real fleet arrived. 12 wolves. Decloaked in high orbit. The defense grid fired. They didn't fire back. Instead, they broadcast a wide-spectrum signal to every citizen. A live stream and edited. Brutal, real. The tribunal files Vecht had uncovered. The secret order to ambush Artemis Dawn. the payments from the Yasari nobles to Black Ops fleets. The silence Earth was forced to sign in exchange for peace. And then came the names of every noble who had approved it. One by one. Broadcasted. Live on their own homeworld. Riots exploded. Citizens took to the streets. Not in defense, but in rage. They'd been told Earth was weak, that the Pact was balanced, that war was over. Now they saw the truth their leaders had bought peace with. Murder. People smashed state banners. Fires lit up across the lower sectors. A new chant rose in the air. We remember Artemis. In the command deck of her lead ship, Vetch stood silent. Her second in command, Elias Roth, the sole survivor of the Artemis, Dawn watched the chaos below. You're not bombing them, he said quietly. No, you could. We have the shots. Don't want them afraid, Vetch said. I want them awake. Elias nodded, then frowned. Someone's locking us out. They're preparing a counterstrike. Vetch didn't look surprised. Let them try. The Azari launched the Home Guard. Massive capital ships powered up from beneath the planet's surface. Dozens of fighters launched from domes. An attack fleet formed in minutes. It surrounded the wolves. The lead, Zari Admiral Devore, reopened. A channel. You have committed a planetary-level act of terrorism. You will surrender or be destroyed. Vetch replied, no. You don't get to call it terrorism after you slaughtered children. You don't get to act surprised when the fire you started reaches your own hands. Then our fleet fired, but not at the city. They aimed at the home guards. Warships, precision strikes, AI-guided torpedoes, Singularity darts black hole tech, forbidden under tribunal law. The first capital ship folded in half. The second lost power, spiraled, and crashed into the outer orbital ring. A chain reaction ignited across the defense network. It all took less than 4 minutes, and when it ended, sky above Yusari Prime was burning, but the planet was still alive, because Vetch hadn't come to kill civilians, she had come to end. The lie, her final act, was simple. She hacked into the noble assembly feed. Every surviving noble, now cowering deep underground, watched as their own systems played her last message. No more peace built on silence. No more justice bound by rules that protect monsters. If you attack the innocent, we will find you. We won't leave your cities standing. Then her ships vanished, jumping to unknown coordinates, leaving Yasari Prime broken. But alive and changed forever. In the stars, rumors began to spread. The tribunal was helpless. The Dominion was bleeding. And Vetch was no longer just a general. She was something more. Something terrifying. Something inevitable. 3 days after the attack on Yasari Prime, Galactic Outer Ring Broadcast Relay started as a whisper, then a rumor, then a wave. A dozen outer systems scattered colonies. Small trade planets. Neutral ports sent one message across the stars. We support Vetch. No one expected it. Not the tribunal. Not even Earth. But the fire had spread, and in a galaxy long ruled by powerful empires, someone had finally shown what fury looked like when it came from the broken. The Earth. Council was stunned. Emergency meetings lit up across lunar cities and orbital. HQ's screens flashed with public approval ratings that were rising fast. 81% of humans supported Vetch's mission. Only 12% wanted her stopped. And in underground channels, a name had risen. The Pact Breakers. A movement made of refugees, rogue, captains, outlaw traders, and old soldiers, not just human anymore. The footage of Yusari Prime's skies burning, and the revelation of betrayal from the Dominion changed everything. In the Tribunal Hall of Judgment, High Arbiter Kez Malar watched the chaos unfold. He wasn't shouting anymore. He was listening. Planet after planet spoke. Some said the tribunal failed. Some said Earth had lost control. But most said the same thing. We want justice, not laws that protect murderers. Vetch had done what no one thought possible. She cracked the illusion. The tribunal still held power, but now it held it in fear. Meanwhile, General Vetch's fleet didn't rest. She wasn't celebrating. She was moving. The wolves now numbered 20 ships, some human, some stolen, some donated by rebel systems. Vetch didn't call herself a leader, but people followed her anyway, in her command ship, Eidolon. She listened to reports from new allies. The Tarthi clans offered deep space refueling stations. The Diveth sent cloaking tech humans had never seen. Even a rogue tribunal. Archivist leaked ancient weapon codes from before the peace era. Ro stood beside her. "This isn't revenge anymore," he said quietly. Vetch didn't look up. "No," she said. "It's something bigger." The Dominion tried to strike back. They launched attacks on 2 of the Pact breaker-aligned colonies. They expected silence. Instead, they found war. Human-led defense teams were already waiting armed with wolf tech. In fury, and those colonies fought back harder than anyone expected. One Yuzari general barely escaped alive, her final report said. "We are not fighting a rebellion. We are fighting a new order, and Earth is its beating heart." The tribunal grew desperate. They offered Earth a deal, disowned Vetch publicly, help hunt her down. In exchange, Earth would receive full control over 2 galactic sectors and economic supremacy. The council hesitated, but the people did not. Protests erupted across Earth and Mars. Signs read, "Justice before power, no peace with butchers. Let the wolves run." The council gave their answer the next day. General Vetch is no longer rogue. She is recognized as a protector of Earth's honor. We do not stand against her, we stand with her. And just like that, Earth officially chose sides. The galaxy split that same day. Half the smaller powers joined Earth, or sent envoys to Vetch. The other half clung to the old tribunal system. The Dominion, bleeding but proud, prepared for war, and above them all, Vetch remained in motion, not building an empire, not asking for control, but tearing down the old walls with every move. On the dark world of Kirith-Neen, a secret Dominion summit took place in a hidden, underground chamber. 12 warlords met. They were not nobles. They were killers, strategists, tyrants. One slammed his hand on the table. "She doesn't want peace. She wants us destroyed." Another hissed, "She's just one woman." The third growled, "She's an idea, and ideas spread." Then a dark screen lit up. It wasn't theirs. A voice came through Xyz. "We know where you are. We know what you planned. And we're coming. Run if you want. It won't matter." The screen shattered into static. The warlords ran across the stars. New alliances formed. A ship once run by exiled El-Kari pirates now flew under Vetch's sigil. A wolf howling against a shattered chain, an ancient Earth supercarrier decommissioned. 4 years was quietly recommissioned and launched under the name Justice of Dawn. The ship bore the names of all lost in the original ambush, Sheshed along, spine in steel. Vetch's message was clear. They didn't forget. They didn't forgive. They were the storm now. The final moments of Part 5. A Yasari noble watches from his observatory. He sees a strange, blinking light on the edge of the system. Too fast for a satellite, too slow for a rock. He zooms in. A ship. Human. Unmarked. Watching, he stumbles back, fear in his eyes. He calls his guards, but by the time they respond, the ship is gone. Just a signal left behind. We're not finished. A cold star system unknown coordinates 24 hours before the first strike, inside a dark nebula where no charts existed. 12 ships gathered in silence. Their engines were quiet, their weapons were armed, their hulls black and unmarked reflected. No light. This was not a fleet, it was a blade. At its center floated the Eidolon General Vetch's command ship. Inside, she stood over the holographic war map, red lines crisscrossing entire star systems. Ro, scarred and focused, leaned beside her, ready to launch Operation Bloodwake, he said. Vetch nodded once. "Begin." What was Operation Bloodwake? It was never written in Earth records, never announced, never claimed. It was a hitless system by system, not against civilians, not against cities, but against every secret base, command, relay, weapons, cash, and noble stronghold the Asari Dominion had hidden during the Pact's treaty years. Vetched had them all. From an old data vault, from spies, from survivors, one by one, these hidden pillars of Yasari power would fall. No warning, no mercy. The first target, the HFY Array Black Ice asteroid, hiding an advanced Dominion signal interceptor. It watched Earth's fleets for years now. The wolves arrived in silence. No battle. No gunfire. They cut its power, overrode its controls, and turned it into a beacon. Its final transmission. You watched us burn. Now we return the light. Then it detonated. Silent, clean, efficient. One system gone. Second target. Greltech Forge Station here. Yuzari warships were secretly refitted with stolen Earth. Tech Vetch's team slipped in disguised as a trade convoy. They hijacked the station's AI, reversed the ship protocols, and left a dozen cruisers locked in dry dock with their engines fused shut. They didn't need to blow it up. They just made it useless. One more domino down. Across Dominion space, fear spread like fire. No one knew where Vetch would strike next. She didn't leave trails. She didn't take credit. She didn't send threats. Just results. Burned stations. Empty vaults. Collapsing infrastructure. Her name spread across private Dominion networks under one terrifying codename, Bloodwake. Khazar strikes came. Like a tide-fast, crushing, and impossible to escape in the tribunal. Pressure cracked the walls. Half the members called for a ceasefire. Others begged the Asari to surrender. Few still clung to power, saying she's not a government. She's a criminal. But no one could ignore the map. Red marks vetched, spread across a third of the galaxy, and everywhere they hit, tribunal's control collapsed. Yasari Prime declared martial law, but it didn't help. Their outer colonies stopped. Responding, their mining convoys went dark. A palace was bombed from orbit, but not by humans. By Yasari rebels' newborn cells who shouted only one word, vetched. She didn't command them. She didn't arm them. She just gave them proof the nobles lied, and that was enough. Back on the Adolan, Vetch studied her next target. A world called Kanara, a paradise planet. Lush, unarmed, quiet, but beneath its green forests was a fortress hidden, ancient, High Command's oldest war vault. Vetched narrowed her eyes. We go now. Ro hesitated. It's not on any public registry. Are you sure it's there? Vetch turned to him. I'm sure. It's where they hid. The missile codes used to kill Artemis Dawn. That was all she needed to say. The wolves hit Kanara at dawn. They didn't bomb the forests. They didn't harm the villages. They landed fast, clean, precise, straight into the ground beneath the trees. The vault was real, a mountain of weapons. Biological weapons, planet killers, ships with band cores, all stockpiled for a war the Asari had claimed was over. Vetch stood in the middle of it, surrounded by silos taller than buildings. Ro whispered, "This is enough to wipe out 10 Earths." Vetch looked around. "We're not taking it." "Then what?" She walked forward, pulled a code rod from her wrist chip, and slotted it into the master terminal. The countdown began. Kanara's vault exploded 11 minutes later. The sky turned gold. The trees caught fire, but the blast was Contendovitz. Engineers had set shaped charges. No civilians were harmed, but the message was heard everywhere. We found your worst secret, and we buried it. Even Dominion soldiers began to defect. Small crews turned off their weapons. Some messaged Earth asking for asylum. Others didn't switch sides but simply stopped fighting. They were tired, and they knew Vetched was. Winning not through overwhelming force, but through something more terrifying. Persistence, purpose, and the fury of memory. In a tribunal emergency session, Earth's ambassador said 3 words. "It's too late." "Too late for what?" Chairman demanded. The ambassador answered calmly, "Too late to stop her. Too late to pretend the pact wasn't broken. And too late to think we're the same species you once tried to manipulate." Then he walked out, a child, orphaned from the Artemis Dawn, now grown and in training at Earth's rebuilt defense academy. Watches the stars, She sees a single ship appear above the moon. A wolf. Vessel, not to strike, but to land. The ramp opens. A figure steps out, cloaked in black. She approaches the child and hands her a single ID chip on it. The full story of Artemis. Dawn, the truth, the files, future. Vetch's voice plays. Carry this forward. Never forget. Never forgive lies masked as peace. You are the storm now. Yeah, sorry, deep space sector, Blackridge location. Unknown to the public. Known to Vetch, buried deep in the cold void was a moon-sized station shielded, cloaked, and hidden from every star chart. Its name, Varn Axis. Its purpose, unspoken. Its existence, denied by every Asari official. But it was real, and now, the Dominion was ready to use it. Not to win a war, but to erase a species. Inside Varnax's High Commander Trassen moved across the central core chamber. His uniform was perfect. His voice calm, but his fingers trembled. We never meant to use this, one of the scientists said quietly. Trassen snapped. We didn't start this war. Earth did. No, said another voice from the shadows. Vetch just showed you never ended it. Everyone turned. A prisoner, chained to a wall, beaten, but alive. Tribunal inspector captured months ago, after he found this place. Smiled through bloodied lips. You're about to commit the very crime that made her rise. The Varn superweapon wasn't a laser, not a bomb, not even something physical. It was a quantum destabilizer meant to erase neural signatures of an entire species over time. Silent, clean, untraceable. With one pulse, it could make 60% of Earth's population collapse in days. With 3 pulses, humanity would fall, without ever knowing what hit them. And now, the countdown had started. Pulse firing in 9 hours. But they were already too late, because Vetch knew on board the Eidolon. 18 hours earlier, looked at the decrypted data. Chip delivered by an anonymous contact in tribunal space. Confirmed, he said. Varn Axis exists. Coordinates verified. Power readings match theoretical signature weapons. Vetch stood still for a long moment. Then, prep every ship. Rowe frowned. We'll be outgunned. We don't need to beat it, she said. We just need to be inside before they realize we're already there. Operation Daggerlight began immediately. 10 ships. 3 decoys. 1 real strike team. Vetch's wolves flew in under Dominion traffic codes stolen months ago. They looked like merchants, traders, even refugees. Every Yasari scanner let them through. Inside one disguised freighter, Vetch crouched in the dark. She whispered to herself, let's see what monsters look like up close. Varn Axis 2. 6 hours before firing, the wolves breached the station in silence. No explosions, no alarms. They came in through forgotten vents and cargo docks. They had 83 minutes to reach the core and stop the pulse. The halls were guarded by elite Dominion troops fully armored. Trained since birth, but they didn't expect Vetch's team to use no guns. They used hacking nodes, gas light disruption fields. By the time Dominion troops realized they were under attack, Vetch's engineers were already inside the control room. The problem, Varn Axis was built with AI locks. It couldn't be shut down, not unless a full, High Command override was entered. Manually, Rowe stared at the terminal. Don't have access. No, Vetch said. But we have their key? She held up a neural band taken from a Dominion admiral they captured 2 weeks earlier. Plug it in. The countdown stopped at 91 seconds. Every system froze. The weapon was silent. The lights dimmed. But it wasn't over, because at that moment, Varn Axis came alive. Self-defense AI triggered. The doors slammed shut. Turrets unfolded from the walls. Security. Drones swarmed, and one message repeated across the halls. Unauthorized presence, neural mismatch detected. Execute. Full station purge. The wolves were trapped, outnumbered, outgunned, cut off from space. Vetch looked to her team. No backup, no retreat. So we fight. Rowe smirked. As usual. The battle inside Varn Axis was brutal. Drones flew through vents, blasting plasma. Wolves moved like shadows, splitting into fire teams. Planting charges, using hacked Dominion mechs as shields, Vetch led from the front, always moving, never stopping. She reached the main reactor chamber. 3 Asari scientists stood trembling. "Run," she told them. "I'm not here for you." Ran, and she planted the final override spike into the reactor. It blinked once, then gave her full control. Outside, the Dominion fleet finally detected the breach. 10 warships closed in, but Earth was already there. The Justice of Dawn, decloaked in Old Earth's supercarrier. Reborn in black armor and powered by Vexta's own AI network. Alongside it, 4 Pact breaker ships jumped in. They didn't waste time. Earth's weapons fired first. The orbital battle raged above Varnaxis, but inside, Vetch made her move. She didn't destroy the weapon. She reprogrammed it. She set the targeting system to a simple loop. If species equals human gives do nothing. And then she opened the code to the tribunal. It's 2 neutral systems. To everyone so the galaxy could see exactly what the Dominion built. Not for war, but for genocide. The result? Chaos. Within a day, 4 Dominion systems rebelled. 2 tribunal judges resigned. Even old enemies of Earth condemned the Azari. Vetch hadn't just stopped the weapon. She turned it into a confession booth, one that shouted across every frequency. A young Azari cadet, raised to hate humans, watches the broadcast. He sees the pulse weapon, the footage. It's a lies. He removes his uniform. He activates his personal comlink and speaks. "This is Cadet Thalvex. I renounce the Dominion. I offer coordinates of a secret vault. Long live Earth. Long live the truth." And with that, the tides shifted again. 3 weeks after Varnaxis fell, unknown starfield, somewhere beyond the outer rim, the galaxy was no longer the same. Old maps were useless. Old powers were broken. Old lies had burned in the light of Vetch's fury. The Asari Dominion had lost over 40% of its military power. The tribunal was fractured, with half its members calling for full reform, and Earth once a silent signatory to a peace. Pact built on betrayal was now a rallying symbol, but Vetch was gone. No broadcast, no signal, no trace. And yet, her message had just begun. In the great assembly of galactic powers, for the first time in centuries, every major species met in the same room. The room was tense, broken, divided. The Dominion demanded reparations. The Pact breakers demanded justice. The tribunal offered peace, but with new rules, written not by nobles or warlords, but by survivors. A representative from Earth stood quietly until called. She was young, calm, eyes sharp. She introduced herself as Cadet Myra, Ro-adopted daughter of Elias Ro, the last survivor of Artemis, Dawn. And when she stepped up, she played the message left by VECHT. Not for her enemies, not for the powerful, but for the galaxy's people. The final message of General Vetch played across all networks. Her voice was steady, measured, tired, but not weak. "You call me a criminal, a destroyer, a traitor? I was none of those things. I was a soldier. The pact was broken in blood, not by Earth, not by me, but by the ones who smiled in peace and hid knives behind treaties. We begged for justice. We begged for answers. They gave us silence. So I answered with truth, with fire, with memory. This wasn't vengeance. This was remembrance. If you stand for the innocent, I stand with you. If you stand behind masks and lies, run. I'm not coming for you anymore. They are." Transmission ends. Galaxies held their breath. But then, something unexpected happened. On refugee planets, on forgotten moons, in cities once ruled by fear, something moved. People stood up. Not in riots, not with guns, but with truth. They opened vaults, released files, leaked secrets. Suddenly, Old crimes were exposed planet by planet. The Vetched effect had begun. On Earth, statues were raised, not of Vetched herself, but of those lost on Artemis Dawn. A silent wall bore 3,417 names, and beneath it, engraved in steel, "We remember, so it never happens again." The Earth Council passed the Vetched decree: no treaties without open audit, no silence in exchange for peace, and no commander ever again forced to choose between orders and truth. In tribunal space, entire branches resigned. New elections began. Some leaders refused to change and were removed, sometimes quietly, sometimes violently. The tribunal high hall was renamed the Hall of Reckoning, and etched above the new chamber entrance were 5 words: "You broke the pact first." The Asari Dominion collapsed. Without their secrets, their super weapons, and their fear, systems began to leave. The Dominion fleet tried to hold on, but their soldiers began defecting in waves. A coup ended the reign of the noble house, their palace, now a school for war orphans from every species, their war archives, now public and vetched. She vanished. Some said she died in the blast at Varnaxis. Others believed she flew to the edge of the galaxy to find a place where peace wasn't bought in blood. Few believed she never left, that she was watching, waiting only to return if the galaxy forgot again. But one more surprise remained. Years later, a lone ship drifted into orbit above Earth. Unregistered, silent. It was the Alone. Empty. Its AI activated upon docking and delivered one final file. Inside were coordinates. 2 a vault Vetched had built in secret. It contained evidence of other buried crimes, names of future traitors, backup codes for every tribunal system, and a message, not to leaders, but to the children of Earth. Vaxed single quotes as last words message. #7 to encrypted. Don't wait for permission to do what's right. Don't wait for justice to come from the top. Truth needs teeth, peace needs claws, and memory must never sleep. A new generation of pact breakers, human, alien, AI, standing under a single banner. No crown, no empire, no ruling council. Just a cause. Never again. And above them, a single symbol, a wolf's head. Forged from the stars, howling over a broken chain,